On that note, we'll be now moving forward with a very, very special, exclusive conversation. This is going to be full of insights, knowledge, wisdom, and inspiring conversation that's featuring some of the most wonderful and distinguished leaders of the industry. First, I'm going to be talking about our esteemed moderator, who's going to be the session chair. Our session chair has over 27 years of experience in risk consulting practice and has significant experience in supply chain function in FMCG, consumer durables, pharma, EPC, ENR, and also textile sectors. He has serviced 300 plus clients across 15 plus countries, including India, the US, Europe, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, and many more. He has been a member of the KPMG Global BCRE steering group of JVs in Asian Central Government Task Force on Project Time and Cost, industry associations such as FICCI, RICS, NARITCO, CREDAI, and CII, and has led industry association delegations to Asian and Middle Eastern countries as well, ladies and gentlemen. A man who truly needs no introduction, but of course we want to highlight all the good work that he has done over a long period of time, 27 years plus to be precise. Please clap it up for partner and head India Global KPMG in India, Mr. Neeraj Bansal. Can we have the biggest round of applause for Mr. Bansal? And can I request Mr. Bansal to please make his way to the stage? Thank you so much, sir. Bahut shukriya. Can we all clap a little louder for him, please, if I may request? Thank you so much. My first speaker over here, she leads JLL's centralized capital markets team in India. She has oversight of all business operations and go-to-market strategies in the capital markets domain. And of course, she's a member of JLL's India Leadership Council. With 30 years of experience in banking and real estate, paired with a strong business network, she provides strategic direction to the business, focuses on delivering diversified offering to the clients, strengthening client relationships, and ensures excellence in providing solutions, thereby addressing needs across a range of asset classes as well as geographies. Prior to joining JLL, she has worked at ICICI Bank, Deutsche Bank, Edelweiss Financial Services, and Yes Bank at senior leadership positions. Ladies and gentlemen, the esteemed Senior Managing Director and Head of Capital Markets India, JLL, please clap it up for Lata Pillai, ma'am, please. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. What a pleasure. Bahut shukriya. Ladies and gentlemen, my next esteemed distinguished speaker is the founder and chairman of the Hiranandani Group, a flagship real estate company with a stellar legacy spanning over 45 plus years. Under his visionary leadership, the group has today excelled and diversified into new businesses like data centers and industrial warehousing platforms that earmark footprints all over the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only honorable founder and chairman Hiranandani Communities, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. Thank you so much, Dr. Hiranandani, for joining us over here. What a pleasure. And my next speaker over here, with more than 2 decades of experience in financial, capital, and commodity market, is ventured into the real estate business under the brand name Signature Global, focusing on affordable housing with a grand vision of Har Parivar Ek Ghar, which means a housing for every family. He has also been significantly contributing to the Honorable Prime Minister's flagship mission of Housing for All that has earned him the sobriquet of Affordable Man. He has now set his eyes on the mid-housing and premium segment to cater to the needs of the growing middle-class population. Please clap it up for the one and only founder and chairman, Signature Global India Limited, Mr. Pradeep Aggarwal. Once again, what a pleasure to have you, sir. Bahut shukriya for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not every day that you get all these stalwarts all under one roof until and unless, of course, Realty Plus plans it. So can you all please clap it up for all of them? जितना जोर से हो सके आप लोग बजा सकते हो, they deserve every bit of it. And sir, thank you so much. I'll pass it over to you to take it forward.
Thank you very much, Shubhajit. And what a pleasure to be here today. I mean, it's fantastic to see all of fun. The house, the room's full, and that too at evening at 7:30. It's excellent, and what a great occasion as well. Binu and Neeraj, Tripti, Sapna, thank you so much for organizing this. It's a full-day conference that happened, and I understand very good discussions have happened during the day as well. And we will be honoring some of the individuals, both from a women perspective and also from a 40 and a 40 side of it. So look forward to that as well. And absolute delight to be amongst industry leaders and also colleagues from very long time now. And that, so thank you so much for joining in there. And before we set into the discussion, there and that, just wanted to set the quick context. The panel theme is experiments to experimentation, experience to experimentation, resetting the Indian real estate playbook. I mean, I think it's a very interesting topic, and we would go through it in more detail. And when we look at the sector also, in the last couple of decades around it, we can always see that the experience has played a very defining role. And the industry has been built on relationships, the market understanding, execution that has happened. Also, the fact that there's been quite a lot of experimentation along the way as well. And presently, as we see where we are today, I mean, the consumer expectations are changing very rapidly. We see that technology is reshaping the way the projects are getting designed, the way the projects are getting sold, and also the investors are looking for a very strong corporate setup, looking at strong governance, and also scalability as well. And of course, there are some numbers which get always spoken about, but the fact that we are going towards a very large number, could be $1 trillion from a real estate point of view. Also from the perspective of, I think very encouraging was the amount of FDI that has come in on the real estate side of it, which shows that how the institutional strength is coming up in the sector. So almost $10 billion of FDI came in last year, and that's a growing number. And also in terms of how the adoption of technology has happened around it, we've always seen, I mean, I would say that we did surveys globally as well. KPMG has done multiple surveys. We always found that the sector picked up technology at the later end. But of course, from a consumer end point of view, there was always a very fast pickup. But now we see in the construction side also, almost like 50% construction companies would have implemented now the enterprise software. They've also implemented machine learning, and also AI adoption also we see happening in a very strong way. And that is something which at least some of us, or most of us would have seen that the way the real estate is getting sold today, the entire virtual playbook that has happened, you don't need to really visit the facility. You can actually almost decide to buy. Family may still need a visit, but that of course can happen physically. But most of the process happens online, and there is a lot of progression that has happened on that. And also the product itself has been evolving around it. Developers are increasingly looking at mixed-use development and launching, and we'll discuss that also, like the major integrated townships, which are getting launched around it. We have amongst us Mr. Hiranandani, who actually launched a very, very big township way back in 70s, to think of it there. He had that foresight, in that area part of it, but something which is now getting done and becoming more mainstream. So we'll touch a little bit on that as well there. And, from the other perspective, I think the overall side of it, going forward also the sector will need to strike the right balance between the fact that there is strong experience, industry wisdom, and also in terms of having the next generation mindset as well. So given that we have some short time, would want to use the benefit of the industry leaders with us here. So we'll start with the question part of it there. So first question is about that today the experience alone is not enough, and developers are trying new ideas in how they're designing, building, and engaging with customers. So Mr. Hiranandani, from your perspective, what really makes a new approach stand out?
First of all, thank you, Realty Plus. 21 years, hum log shareek hain. So it's a great time to be back again with Realty Plus. So thank you for continuing to invite me, even at the ripe age of 76. You still find me good enough to come. Thank you. I think the world is changing quite rapidly. You talked about machine learning. You talked about AI. Those are the new things that have happened. But if you look over a period of years, a lot of other items came. Let's talk about 40 years ago. We did mixing of cement on the site. There was not a single ready mix plant on the site physically. If you looked at shuttering materials, there was no aluminum shuttering, and we used wood for the purposes of that. In order to get the quality of materials that were available, it was a big challenge. To create waterproofing of our buildings was a big challenge. So we moved from every aspect of it changed. So every few years, you had to change and upgrade yourself in order to come to that part. That's on the physical part of it. On the other side, in terms of the opportunities that took place, like you mentioned about townships, in the good old days, we would have residential areas, we would have commercial areas. So even in a place like Mumbai, a Nariman point would be commercial, Residential would be Marine Drive, or Malabar Hill, and so on and so forth for the rest of the city. We changed that pattern and we created mixed-use township. Though historically, India, aage dukaan, piche makan. In English, you translated it, walk to work. But हमारे दृष्टिकोण में एक जमाने में था. So sometimes you learn from your own history. And like they say, go back to the Gita. You really get back to the real culture to do it. So when I did it, people said, you're mad. पागल है, ऐसे कभी होता है क्या? अपना काम की बात क्या है? And then you make the holistic township that you really did. I think that was the idea. We talked about transportation, and those things have changed rapidly. We are going to add 300 kilometers of metro in Mumbai in the next few years. We added 18 kilometers of suburban rail in 65 years, and now in 2 years we'll add 300 kilometers. What a change. So change is a part of life. Experimentation in the new fields of things, whether it is real estate, whether it is marketing, whether it is financing and funding and all that. When I started life, no bank would give any money. Lata certainly wouldn't have done it at the time when I started life. I had to borrow money at 2% interest per month. And we survived. The situation is changed. And now today you have multiple forms of lending, whether it's the complicated, going to the IPO, whether it's a REIT funding, whether it's a lease discount, this thing, or you have an FII, or you go into various forms of funding that is there, long-term, short-term, commercial, residential, all sorts of funding have come into portion. So what you are saying is a fact. In every field of endeavor in the real estate field, if you're not ready to change, if you're not ready to adapt, if you're not ready to experiment, you're going to be out of date. The last one which you talked about, which was AI in terms of it. The internet has changed, communications, social media, all these aspects have changed so rapidly. I think anybody who wants to survive in the next world, whether it's in real estate or any other business or whatever we do, experimentation, as you have mentioned, is mandatory. You have no point but to do it. So I don't think we always experimented. Some people experimented and failed. It's not that experiments in the world have not failed. They have. But by and large, those who have succeeded have definitely experimented. So yes, experiments do fail, but I don't think the world will progress without experimentation. So I do believe that in real estate, in the last 40 years plus that I've been in the business of business, I think we have changed. A lot of experiments and lots of changes have taken place, and I have to change every day. It's pretty age, as said, quite late in the day, I still have to continue to learn and change and to be competent enough to, to be in the business with young people who are also there in the business of the world. Thank you.
What a beautiful answer in terms of and what a comprehensive way to discuss that. Also, almost every facet of real estate journey is what we've discussed in that, and very nice with that there. Pradeep, if I come to you, there. So Pradeep ji, in terms of every developer is experimenting today, in different things around it, but not every experiment succeeds, right? So what are the 2-3 things that you think must go, with an experimentation, which determines, the more success of that versus the others around it there?
So thanks, अनुराग जी, Realty Plus और आपकी पूरी टीम का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इस पैनल पे बुलाने के लिए. सो आपने कहा कि एक्सपेरिमेंट जो है वो कितना ज़रूरी है और उससे क्या बेनिफिट है. मुझे लगता है एक्सपेरिमेंट एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो हमेशा होता रहेगा, पहले भी होता रहा है और आगे भी होता रहेगा, क्योंकि ये तो एक जर्नी है. और मुझे लगता है रियल एस्टेट में लास्ट 5 सालों में जितना चेंज आया है, वैसे तो ऑफ कोर्स एक बहुत बड़ी लेगेसी रही है रियल एस्टेट की, लेकिन लास्ट 5 सालों में रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री ने बहुत सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट किए हैं और उससे काफ़ी चेंज भी आए हैं. मुझे लगता है जो रेरा रिजीम का आना है वो भी एक ऐसा एक्सपेरिमेंट रहा गवर्नमेंट का जिसने पूरे रेरा आने के बाद पूरी रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री को चेंज किया. एंड जितने भी डेवलपर्स हैं उनके माइंडसेट भी चेंज हुए हैं. सो ये एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसको हमेशा यहाँ पर टाइम बाय टाइम करना पड़ेगा। लेकिन एज ए डेवलपर हम लोगों को बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो यहाँ पर सीखने को मिली हैं इस नए वक्त के अंदर, नई जो टेक्नोलॉजीज़ हैं उनको लेकर, और मुझे लगता है उनके जो आउटकम आ रहे हैं वो बहुत बहुत बेहतरीन है। फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि हम लोगों ने अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग से शुरू किया। जिस वक्त अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग से शुरू किया, मार्केट में आप रियल एस्टेट की हालत जानते हैं कि क्या थी, बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छी नहीं थी। लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी एक एक्सपेरिमेंट था कि क्या ये प्रोडक्ट जो है मार्केट के अंदर एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी है, क्या उसके बाद उसमें आप कुछ बचा भी सकते हैं एज ए डेवलपर, या वो सक्सेस नहीं हो पाएगा। लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि उस एक्सपेरिमेंट में एक सक्सेस मिला वहाँ पर, कुछ नई टेक्नोलॉजीज़ के साथ, जो फॉर एग्जांपल माय वन शटरिंग है। उस टाइम पे वो कॉल लेना 2014 में कि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के लिए क्या आप इसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं, मुझे लगता है वो एक कॉल थी और वो सक्सेस हो गई। और उससे पहले किसी ने अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के लिए इतनी बड़ी कॉल नहीं ली थी। सो बैक टू बैक लगभग 20 से 25 हज़ार यूनिट हमने विद इन 5 ईयर के स्पैन के अंदर बना दिए। सो मुझे लगता है कि रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री के अंदर अभी बहुत कुछ करने के लिए है। अभी भी अगर आप देखें तो इंडस्ट्री का साइज़ मुझे अभी भी बहुत छोटा लगता है। फॉर आप वर्ल्ड वाइड देखें तो जो कैपिटल मार्केट, जितना उनका कैपिटल मार्केट है उसके अंदर कम से कम 10% शेयर हमेशा रियल एस्टेट का होता है। इंडिया केवल एक ऐसा मार्केट है जिसमें आज भी 1.5% का केवल मार्केट शेयर है जो लिस्टेड कंपनीज है उनका। मुझे लगता है नंबर बहुत छोटा है। अगर ये एक्सपेरिमेंट यहाँ पर मल्टीपल टाइम हुए तो मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले वक्त में ये रियल एस्टेट मार्केट इंडिया का इतना मल्टीफोल्ड होने वाला है जो शायद आज हम इमेजिन भी नहीं कर पा रहे। क्योंकि अभी मैं जो अनुराग जी की एक स्लाइड देख रहा था, उसको देखने के बाद अगर आप इमेजिन करें कि होगा क्या आने वाले वक्त में, इवन दो अगर प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी एक मिशन देखे 2047 कि डेवलप्ड नेशन होंगे हम, तो इसका मीनिंग क्या है? इसका मीनिंग है कि हर परिवार के पास एक घर होगा और हर हाथ को एक काम होगा। अगर ऐसा होगा तो रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री कितना बड़ा रोल उसमें प्ले करेगी। अभी जैसे स्लाइड के अंदर भी अनुराग जी दिखा रहे थे कि जितने भी काम हैं अगर ये एक्चुअली में ग्राउंड पर होने हैं तो इसमें रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री की भूमिका सबसे ज़्यादा है। और मुझे लगता है ये टाइम है रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री के लिए कि नई चीज़ों के ऊपर एक्सपेरिमेंट करे। एंड अभी तो पूरी की पूरी इंडस्ट्री जिस तरीके से रीसेट हुई है, आई थिंक सो ये नेक्स्ट लेवल पर जा सकती है।
वंडरफुल इन दैट पार्ट। एंड प्रदीप जी, मैं चाहूँगा कि एक बार थोड़ा सा ही चाहें आप फिर एक बार उसके बारे में बात करें जो हम बाहर भी बात कर रहे थे, कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क इफ आई में कॉल इट, जो हम गणित की बात कर रहे थे। तो एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन में हमेशा यू नीड टू बी श्योर कि हम क्या करने जा रहे हैं, उसका क्या कैलकुलेशन है हमारे माइंड में, अगर उस पर भी आप थोड़ा सा बोल पाएँ उसमें।
सो देखिए, कभी भी कोई भी जो डेवलपर है किसी भी प्रोडक्ट के लिए जब डिज़ाइनिंग करता है तो वो कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क लेकर ही चलता है। अभी जैसे मैं एक एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करता हूँ आपसे कि अभी इंटीग्रेटेड टाउनशिप की बात हो रही थी। सो अभी हमने रिसेंटली कुछ टाउनशिप लॉन्च की है गुरुग्राम में, जो फर्स्ट टाइम हमने एक्सपीरियंस किया कि क्या मिक्स लैंड यूज़ के अंदर कुछ ऐसी बड़ी टाउनशिप बनाई जा सकती है जिससे काफ़ी लोग एक ही कंपाउंड के अंदर रह सकें। जो अभी हिरनंदानी जी भी कह रहे थे कि जो काम है और जो घर है वो साथ साथ हो जाए। तो कहना तो बड़ा ठीक है, लेकिन वहाँ पर पहुँच के ग्राउंड पे क्या वो कर देना, तो ये तो बहुत पहले कर चुके हैं। हमने कुछ टाउनशिप वहाँ पर क्रिएट की जिसमें एक टाउनशिप हमारी 125 एकड़ की टाउनशिप, उसी कंपाउंड के अंदर हमने घर बनाए, उसी के अंदर ऑफिस स्पेस, उसी में रिटेल स्पेस। लेकिन ये एक एक्सपीरियंस था कि लोग इसे पसंद करेंगे या नहीं करेंगे। एंड वो एक कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क भी था जिसके अंदर इन केस ऑफ वर्स्ट होगा भी क्या, कि ठीक है आपका जो इन्वेंट्री है वो कुछ टाइम के लिए होल्ड हो सकती है, कुछ टाइम के बाद हो। आई थिंक सो ये एक्सपीरियंस तो आपको लेने पड़ेंगे। फिर वही बात है कि जो एक्सपेरिमेंट है वो आपको करना पड़ेगा। और यकीन मानिए कि गुरुग्राम में अभी तक हम 2 ऐसी बड़ी सोसाइटीज़ को लॉन्च कर चुके हैं जो लगभग 300 एकड़ की हैं, और भी पाइपलाइन में हैं। एंड वी आर द फर्स्ट डेवलपर इन गुरुग्राम जिसने इस टाइप का एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है। सो आपको अल्टीमेट आना पड़ता है एक कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क के साथ, एंड सक्सेस होते तो ऑफ कोर्स फिर नेक्स्ट लेवल ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आपके पास आती हैं।
Wonderful. There's that. Lata, if I come to you, you see hundreds of deals and proposals, in your journey around it. And in today's market, what would you say separates, a story which really gets funded from a story which only remains an idea?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this panel. I guess, see, an idea which gets funded is something which has to be real, So it really needs to make sense for somebody who's seeing it, and especially somebody who's investing in it. Essentially, when somebody looks at an investment opportunity, at least that's what one has seen in my career. Who is sponsoring that particular idea? Who is the person who's coming in with this particular idea? What is that person or that company's experience in the past? What has been their experience with investing another person's money? How have the returns been fared? So essentially, the quality of the entrepreneur who's coming for the assistance that you need, whether it be a lender or it be a capital investor of any kind. The second will be, of course, the ease of the whole structure. How complex are you making the whole exercise? A very big thing which really also makes or breaks a particular transaction is the expectation of values. An entrepreneur believes that they have bought in probably some of their best assets for their investor, and there is an expectation that it needs to be valued in a particular manner. And usually an investor is looking at, there is emotions involved when it's the entrepreneur, whereas an investor comes in with a risk attitude and therefore is pricing the risk, right? So there could be a time where there is a mismatch between the two at times. But I think whenever one sees that there is a good transaction to be done at a fair value, it usually finds the place. Again, if you look at a capital structure, which is very complex, as I mentioned, or if the title of the property and things like that becomes an issue, but I think fundamental thing is only a real story gets a backing. And I think if the first point that I talked about doesn't really come up the curve, it's very difficult to come to the second or third point, actually. So sponsor, I think, is very, very critical.
Interesting. Thank you, Lata, for that. Niranjan, if I come to you, while Pradeep did speak about, one aspect of it, but you started developing Powai, long back around it, almost 50 years plus kind of a thing, and it was like largely a barren land with no infrastructure on that. What gave you the confidence, to build not only buildings but in the entire ecosystem? And do you think that the developers today, Pradeep ji did give one example, but developers today would have that kind of a long-term bet in mind to build that up, such a kind of a scenario?
Depends on Lata. लता पैसे देगी तो हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, हमारे ऊपर भरोसा करेगी तो हम भी कर सकते हैं। हमारे पास आजकल स्टार्टअप को पैसे देते हैं तो हमको क्यों नहीं देंगे जब इतना अनुभव हमारे पास है।
Absolutely.
So the question is also twofold. One is, what is the market demand for a kind of a thing, and ultimately what is it that you want to achieve? Let's take the experiment which Devendra Fadnavis ji is doing in terms of the slums policy. What is the expectations that after clearing 100% of the slums in the next 7, 8, 10 years, which you have not been able to do for the last 75 years, how is that type of experiment going to be working? The question is, what is the real market demand for a particular product that really is doing? Just now we showed on the screen that it was being mentioned over there. E-commerce is going to be that way. Now, nobody thought, we all knew e-commerce is happening, but it required a COVID to actually understand the extent to which e-commerce is going to do. When the internet came and publications and came and we thought about social media in terms of communications, we thought print is still going to be number one. Now, we also know that the social media and the internet and the connectivity is now competing with the print media in order to achieve a tract of the people which is there. So all these aspects of change and investments that are taking place will depend upon how the final product is going to come to the end customer. So whether it is a township model, whether it's a data center which is required because the amount of data in India, आपको पता नहीं होगा, can I share data with you? The amount of data created in India today is more than what is created by China and United States of America today. And we store only 20 to 25% of that data in India. So the scope of data centers, for example, is so exponentially large that when the Prime Minister wanted to say that all data of India should compulsorily be put in India, हम बोले कि भाई data center ही नहीं है, buildings ही नहीं है, energy भी नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है. So आत्मनिर्भर भारत करना है, तो we have to get into this aspect of it. But the question is the time ripe for this experiment today or not? And that is what is happening today, whether it is townships, whether it is data centers, whether it is flex offices which are there, whether it is co-living, whether it is different types of items are there. We have to find out, is the market ready for it? As Saab just mentioned, I was too early in the day in terms of the township. It worked. But in reality, the multiplicity of township opportunity came 20 years later. So now that experiment is being replicated in a much bigger way, faster way. So what I took 25 years to sell, 225 acres of land, this twice the amount of square footage, I will sell in 5 years today. That is the difference which is happening today. So I'm now working in Alibag, which is a hospitality center project, which is totally different than anything else that I'd ever done before. It's 225 acres, almost the size of Powai, which was 250 acres. And I'm experimenting with that, and I'm expecting that in 5 years, instead of 25 years, I'll complete, build and sell the entire 225 acres. अभी लता पैसे नहीं देंगे तो हम काम कैसे करेंगे? So obviously the funding is now possible. It is possible to experiment into the new lines of it. And there is a demand potential for the people to be able to buy all the things. And then you need the Prime Minister who creates the revolution in terms of opportunity for us to grow as well as to create the infrastructure. So earlier, if you had to go to Alibag and you had to go in the monsoon, it would take 3 to 4 hours. Today, you take a Ro-Ro and you can reach there in 45, 50 minutes. You take a speedboat, you'll reach in 20 minutes. Tomorrow, a road is being constructed. You'll reach there in 45 minutes by car. And a new bridge is coming. So obviously, the change which is taking place in the macro market, as well as the experimentation which we are doing in the micro market, plus the ability of the confidence of the capital markets or the banking system to be able to fund you directly, indirectly, and in different ways, gives you an incremental opportunity which did not exist 5 years, 25 years, 35 years, 40 years ago. So if you're ready to do that part of the work over there. So let's take experiment which Mr. Adani is doing in Dharavi. He will be producing more only in Dharavi than whole of Mumbai did 30 years ago in 10 years or 15 years, he's going to do in 2 or 3 years. Now that quantum of absorption would never have been dreamt of, forget funded. पैसे तो अदानी साहब कहाँ से भी लेके आएंगे. लेकिन the ability to make it into a viable project is possible today, which was not available even 10 years ago. So Dharavi became a failure when the government earlier listed that for the purposes of going into the marketplace. Twice it came over here, and there was no actual credible form of being able to do that marketplace. So today, जो हम कभी सोच नहीं सकते थे कि ये कुछ काम ऐसे हो सकता है, वो अभी हो सकता है, Funding is available, finance is available, opportunity is available, technology is available, speed is available. आप technology की बात की, different types of systems of construction and technology are now available, and all this is going to make reality into a different space whatsoever, and different forms of thing. So, for example, branded residences. We had never done branded residences in my whole life. 45 years, I didn't dream it. We did one building in Alibag. Recently, we launched it. And 120 apartments we put into the market. We expected it would be sold in 1.5 years. It was sold in 1.5 days. Now, if that is the kind of pace the market is actually willing to absorb new experimental models of different kinds of it, and there is money available in the market for the purpose of experiment, and the demand situation is all there, it's a combination of all the multiple events that are taking place. ऐसे नहीं है कि मैं बहुत चतुर हूँ इसलिए मैं ये काम कर पा रहा हूँ, नहीं. The moment has come for India. हमारी जो बात है, and thanks to Trump, जो प्रधानमंत्री जी बोल रहे थे आत्मनिर्भर भारत करना है, अभी वो जल्दी हो जाएगा. Thanks to a person like Trump, you will become Atmanirbhar. There is no question because there is no choice. So now, I'm very happy. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री 10 साल पहले बोले आत्मनिर्भर भारत. मैं समझा 20 साल और लगेंगे. अभी मुझे लगता है कि 3-4 साल के अंदर हम आत्मनिर्भर बन ही जाएंगे. And we have to thank Trump for expediting us, you know. So I'm very happy with Mr. Trump. Only for that reason, not for other things.
No, excellent at that part. And no, please, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on it then. Pradeep ji, if I come to you, because जैसे आपका strong execution रहा है, and also उसके साथ में अब now you are moving into premium and commercial, side of the real estate as well, and almost doubling the revenue is the plan that I understand around it. So what are the 1 or 2 defining decisions that you will say, which are helping you to do this exercise in such a short time? Like Niranjan bhai gave examples of a few areas around it. अगर आप भी share कर पाएं उसमें.
बिल्कुल ठीक कहा भाई साहब ने कि जो इस वक्त का मार्केट है वो बिल्कुल बदल गया. जो आज से शायद 20 साल पहले उस तरीके का डिमांड स्ट्रक्चर नहीं था, शायद वो लास्ट 5 साल में काफ़ी ज़्यादा चेंज हुआ है, और बिकॉज ऑफ द कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ जो कस्टमर है उसका काफ़ी ज़्यादा चेंज हुआ है लास्ट रेरा रिजीम के बाद. इसीलिए अक्सर मैं कहता हूँ कि जो रियल एस्टेट मार्केट का बैड टाइम था वो निकल चुका है कोविड से पहले का. आफ्टर द कोविड जो मार्केट है वो मल्टीफोल्ड होने के लिए तैयार है. इन टर्म्स ऑफ जितने भी अब सेगमेंट हम ओपन कर रहे हैं, जो क्योंकि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के बाद हमने मिड इनकम किया, उसके बाद ब्रांडेड के अंदर भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा हम लोग दोबारा से आए हैं, जिसके अंदर अभी रिसेंटली हमने टोर्नेडो लैम्बोर्गिनी के साथ एक टाई अप किया है, जिसके अंदर 4-4.5 हज़ार करोड़ का एक प्रोजेक्ट हमने रिसेंटली लॉन्च किया है. और भी ऐसे पाइपलाइन में कुछ ब्रांडेड रेसिडेंस हैं जो आने वाले वक्त में दिखाई देंगे. एंड एक रिसेंटली और टाई अप हमारा हुआ है विद द RMG, जिसमें एक प्लेटफॉर्म सेटअप किया है दिल्ली NCR के लिए एक्सक्लूसिवली, जिसके अंदर जो भी कमर्शियल डेवलपमेंट A ग्रेड ऑफिस स्पेस है और रिटेल, वो उनके साथ जॉइंट वेंचर में हम लोग बनाएंगे. जिसमें पहला डील उन्होंने हमारे साथ किया है लगभग 5.5 मिलियन, जिसके अंदर पहला एक लगभग 5.5 मिलियन का SPR साउदर्न पेरीफेरी रोड, जो काफ़ी प्राइम एरिया है, वहाँ पर कर रहे हैं. तो ये एक पूरा का पूरा स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज है. अगर आप देखें, एक वक्त है जब आप अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग करते हैं, अपने बेस को, ग्राउंड को आप मजबूत करते हैं, फाउंडेशन आपकी स्ट्रांग करते हैं, धीरे 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 आप अल्टीमेट यहाँ तक अल्टीमेट ये जर्नी है. मुझे लगता है भी इससे आगे भी जाना है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें अभी भी इंडिया में ऐसी हैं जो करने के लिए बाकी हैं. जैसे डाटा सेंटर जो बता रहे हैं भाई साहब, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं. डाटा सेंटर में इतना ज़्यादा, इतना डिमांड, यानी फ्यूचर में होने वाला वो फुलफिल ही नहीं हो सकता. हमारे पूरे जितने भी बड़े बड़े बिजनेसमैन हैं, चाहे उसमें जो भी नाम आप ले लें, वो भी पूरा नहीं कर सकते. तो जब डिमांड ही इतना है, जैसे टोटल जितना डाटा कंजम्पशन का 20% इंडिया में कंजम्पशन हो रहा है, तो कैसे स्टोर होगा इंडिया में अगर डाटा करना है? अभी तो यहाँ हमारे पास कुछ है ही नहीं स्टोरेज. सो सेम चीज़ हाउसिंग के लिए है। अभी हमारा 6.5 लाख यूनिट साल का प्रोडक्शन है। 150 करोड़ के देश के अंदर हम ये सारी चीज़ें कर रहे हैं। मुझे लगता है नंबर्स कुछ भी नहीं है। ऑफिस स्पेस, ग्रेड ए ऑफिस स्पेस देखें तो इतना मिनिमल नंबर है कि उस नंबर का कोई रेलिवेंस ही नहीं है। सो अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत है और मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले वक्त में अगर ऑफ कोर्स लता जी हमारे साथ रही, सहयोग करते रहे, तो ऑफ कोर्स हम यानी सारा का सारा आखिर में हम लता जी के पास पहुंच जाते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली फिर हम ज़रूर मल्टीफोल्ड करेंगे।
I don't know whether she's an enabler or a roadblock on this now, you know.
Exactly. I guess
He is
Niranjan
enabler.
bhai knows me as a lender. So I think that is where I'm stuck in his head as a lender.
ICICI days are, you know.
ICICI days is what he remembers. Fortunately, I'm not there anymore. So,
I think it's a good time.
फैसिलिटेटर ना, एटलीस्ट आप अंडरस्टैंड करवा सकते हैं उन्हें कि हाँ भाई दे आर डूइंग राइट,
कोशिश करेंगे.
कोशिश
I'm of the old school. I don't forget people.
Good time to ask you a question then that, you know, that, and it's a capital related point only, so that what Pradeep ji said. So we are seeing certainly that more and more capital is entering newer segments on that. Data centers, जैसे अभी तक हमने बात करी, also co-living है, senior living, logistics, you know, we're finding that, you know, for highways अगर देखें, warehousing के लिए देखें, there's a lot of development that is happening at this point in time. Which one of these do you think is attracting long-term capital? And also, do you think that, you know, that are these early or these are still opportunistic there in that? These long-term or, you know, is opportunistic?
I guess as Niranjan bhai mentioned, I think data centers, thanks to the structural change that we're talking about, whatever investments, in fact, there's been a substantial amount of investments that have come in. And that's actually very minuscule. I agree with you, Pradeep ji. It's really small compared to what we really need to put in. Our internal estimation is that, you know, we have capacity of around 1.3 gigawatt. We believe in the next 3 years, it can go up 4 times. And I think that also will not be enough. You will need much more, right, for the kind of stuff. So I think it's a structural change and a structural change that's coming and the capital investment into the sector. Another sector which is seeing a huge boom is our the entire logistics and industrial space. It's because of the it's on the back of the GST regime. It's on the back of the growth of infrastructure that's happening across the country. It is happening on us being on a journey to being probably the 3rd largest economy in the world. I guess all of it needs the infrastructure space below, and again, it's a structural investment that's happening, and it's sustainable and long-term. Be it co-living, senior living, student housing, all of it, there is demand, but I guess the scale is still very small for it to attract large institutional investments. One has seen family office investments or that kind of domestic investments in this particular space have not seen the real, so I would put that as more opportunistic. Whereas the other two is clearly very structural.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Radha, for that. Pradeep ji, you know, being you on having you on the stage, and we should not go away without listening to you from the affordability perspective in that. You know, so affordable housing के अंदर supply बहुत drop हुई है. From 50%, now we are at 17% around it. Niranjan bhai also has said this on so many platforms in so many ways around it. And you've lived through it, you know, you've built the affordable housing at mass scale as well. You know, so what do you think has to be done now? You know, do we need to rethink the model? Do we need to look at the financing part of it? Do we need to think that some government has to support it from the land side of it? या उसको delivery के अंदर बनाने में उसका जो method है, that needs to undergo some big change so that we can have more affordable housing come in the market.
So, बहुत अच्छा टॉपिक है, थैंक यू. एंड देखिए, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग मेरे बहुत दिल के करीब है, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि इस देश में अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग एक्चुअली में बनाना है, बिल्ड करना है, तो आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स जाकर कुछ ना कुछ इनिशिएटिव लेने पड़ेंगे. मुझे लगता है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग को ना हाउसिंग सेगमेंट से बाहर निकालना चाहिए. इट्स नॉट ए हाउसिंग, इट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, प्योरली लाइक रोड इंफ्रा. जैसे हम रोड इंफ्रा बना रहे हैं, तो रोड इंफ्रा के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं, जितनी भी उसके लिए चाहिए कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर है, तो गवर्नमेंट जो है एक नॉर्मल रेट के ऊपर बॉन्ड्स प्रोवाइड कर रही है, एक जितनी भी चीज़ें, चाहे बैंक गारंटीज हैं, जो भी मटेरियल है उसके ऊपर अलग तरीके से सारे टैक्स स्लैब वगैरह सब कुछ डिफरेंट तरीके से। मुझे लगता है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग को उसी तरह ट्रीट करना चाहिए। इस देश के अंदर जितने घरों की अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की डिमांड है, आप कह रहे हैं अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की डिमांड ड्रॉप हुई है, मैं कह रहा हूँ उसकी सप्लाई ख़त्म हो गई है। एक्चुअली आज भी सिचुएशन है कि लैक्स ऑफ लैक्स घरों की डिमांड इस देश में अभी है, आज ही, लेकिन सप्लाई नहीं है बिकॉज ऑफ लैंड के प्राइजेस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए हैं। दूसरा, जिस तरीके का मार्केट ने काफ़ी तेज़ी से बढ़ी है उससे लोग काफ़ी लग्जरी की तरफ अट्रैक्ट हुए हैं। तीसरा, जो कैपिटल का स्ट्रक्चर, जो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल है वो इतना हायर है कि किसी भी डेवलपर के लिए उस हाउसिंग को बनाना बहुत बड़ा टास्क हो चुका है। जब तक गवर्नमेंट इन फ्रंट्स पे काम नहीं करेगी, क्योंकि जब कुछ टाउनशिप ऐसी ड्राइव करनी पड़ेंगी जो थोड़ा सबम में जाके, जिसके अंदर आप ये कह सकते हैं कि जिनको अर्जुन की पॉलिसी से बाहर निकालना पड़ेगा। आप ऐसी टाउनशिप क्रिएट करिए बड़ी, जिसमें एक ही एरिया में काफ़ी ज़्यादा लोग रह सकें और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को वहाँ तक पहुँचाकर उन फैसिलिटीज़ को भी पहुँचाइए, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन भी करिए, एंड साथ में जो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल है उसको इतना नीचे लाइए जिससे वो घर बन सके, उस डेवलपर बना सके। उसके ऊपर लगने वाला जितना भी टैक्स का स्ट्रक्चर है उसको दोबारा से रिडिफाइन करिए, एंड जितने डेवलपर उसमें काम करना चाहते हैं उनको इंसेंटिवाइज कीजिए। मुझे लगता है ये इनकम का जरिया नहीं हो सकता। आज अगर कोई एक घर बना रहे हैं अफोर्डेबल, तो आप यकीन मानेंगे कि गवर्नमेंट लगभग 20% उस घर में से अर्निंग कर रही है, जबकि वो हमारी नेसेसिटी है। वहाँ पे उसको पूरा करना है, वो देना है लोगों को, बस यही गैप है। जब देखिए, गवर्नमेंट से कोई लैंड नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि लैंड का स्ट्रक्चर जब उनसे लेने की बातचीत आती है तो एक बहुत लेंदी प्रोसेस बन जाता है और बड़ा मुश्किल टास्क है। मुझे लगता है शायद पॉलिसीज़ की नीड है, एक नेशन वाइज पॉलिसी बननी चाहिए, क्योंकि एक स्टेट सब्जेक्ट होने की वजह से बहुत दिक्कत है इसके अंदर। एक नेशन वाइज सब्जेक्ट बननी चाहिए पॉलिसी, जिसके अंदर एक मॉडल बनाकर कि इस पॉलिसी को हाउसिंग सेक्टर से निकालें और एक ऐसा सेक्टर बनाएं कि देखिए, सबसे ज़्यादा अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग घरों की डिमांड है। जितने नंबर ऑफ हाउसिंग यूनिट कहें तो लग्जरी तो 10% भी नहीं है उसके कंपैरिजन में, जितना अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग की डिमांड है। तो आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स जाकर थिंकिंग करनी पड़ेगी, और मुझे लगता है हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी इसके अंदर बिल्कुल बहुत परफेक्ट हैं। वो ये चीज़ें कर सकते हैं। जिस वक्त हाउसिंग फॉर ऑल उन्होंने किया, वो तो बाय द वे की बात थी कि रियल एस्टेट मार्केट अच्छा नहीं था, तो वो काफ़ी सक्सेस भी हुआ, लेकिन सडनली वो 2022 के बाद एकदम ड्रॉप डाउन हो गया। लेकिन अगर फिर से कुछ ना कुछ, क्योंकि काफ़ी प्लेटफॉर्म पर भाई साहब रहते हैं तो काफ़ी सजेशन देते हैं, मैं देखता हूँ, लेकिन कुछ चीज़ें कोर में अगर उन तक पहुँचे और उनके पास सजेशन के साथ पहुँचे, बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म पर आप भी होते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है सॉल्यूशन निकलेगा। अगर ये सॉल्यूशन नहीं निकलेगा तो आने वाले वक्त में जो पोजीशन है और ज़्यादा ख़राब होने वाली है, क्योंकि घर तो चाहिए और वो बन नहीं रहे।
नहीं, बहुत अच्छी तरह से आपने बताया इसको, बिकॉज आई थिंक एंड यू आर सेइंग डेफिनेटली दैट एवरी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग हैज़ टू बी रीलुक्ड, देयर इन दैट, एंड इट हैज़ टू बी परफेक्टेड फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि हमें देना ही है, बनाना ही है वो, इट्स अ नीड दैट हैज़ टू बी सर्व्ड अराउंड इट।
यानी वो इनकम का जरिया नहीं हो सकता, वो नेसेसिटी है, वो हमारे को वो FMCG गुड्स की तरह है। अगर तो मुझे लगता है शायद वो उस तरीके से लेना चाहिए।
Correct. Because I think when that 2014, when August 2014 या मई में जब रिलीज़ हुआ था ये, फिर अगस्त में इसकी बात हुई थी, तब हमने भी नीरज भाई के साथ में काफ़ी काम किया था इसके ऊपर, एंड वी प्रेजेंट टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो इन सो मेनी वेज, एंड लॉट ऑफ गुड थिंग्स हैपेंड एज वेल, बट सम वे दैट मोमेंटम certainly has got, let's say, reduced or lost around it. And very rightly you said that that it's not an income generation area, it has to be a service approach on that, and a fulfillment which is required to be done in that part. Given the paucity of time, let me just move quickly to some rapid fire questions around it, very very simple ones around it there. There. So Pradeep ji, if I start with you only, very very shortly, if you can say like one bold idea you think will transform the real estate in the next 5 years. If you were to share one idea, what would that idea be? And same to you as well.
So देखिए, केवल एक ही चीज़ है जो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर है,
Lata, but
इट शुड बी चेंज, इट शुड बी चेंज.
Lata should be changed, or Lata's thought process has to be changed.
वन ऑफ द आइडिया, आज अभी जब कोई भी लैंड बाइंग हो रही है तो लैंड बाइंग पर कोई भी फैसिलिटी नहीं है फ्रॉम द बैंक साइड.
Yes.
एक टाइम था जब पॉसिबल नहीं, यानी हो सकता था कि भी ठीक है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें थी. मुझे लगता है आज मार्केट बहुत अलग तरीके का है. ऐसे में बैंक जो हैं, बहुत पैसा बैंकों के पास है. अगर आरबीआई किसी भी तरीके से कोई ऐसी फंडिंग अलाउ करे, कम से कम जो प्रमोटर लैंड खरीद रहा है 50% प्रमोटर अगर शेयर कर रहा है और 50% अगर बैंक कर सकते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है जो कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल है अगर ये डाउन जाएगी तो रियल एस्टेट आने वाले टाइम में बहुत बड़ा सेक्टर इस गवर्नमेंट इस इंडस्ट्री उसमें बनने वाला है देश में.
Sure, sure. Niranjan bhai.
I think one of the solutions for affordable housing is rental housing. We have multiple ways to do it. We have done it in the case of industry. 2 years ago, we gave the benefit for industrial workers for industry. That is already there in the budget now, in the Income Tax Act. Similarly, now earlier, corporate entities and others would provide housing for their workers. Godrej provided it, Tata provided it, other institutions also provided it, government does it, public sector banks and financial institutions give it. I think service tenancy should be given a special benefit as far as that is concerned. So a corporate entity, whether it's Reliance or it's a bank or a financial institution or a developer, if I want to house my own people, employees in a building right next to my office, I think we should be able to get it done, and we call it a service tenancy.
Very nice.
Second, we need to create a rental housing scheme by which the benefit relating to rental housing should be given tax-free for 5 years. We did 80IB in terms of earlier for smaller houses. I think we need to create a rental housing stock. Number 3, we need to do CSR for the purposes of affordable rental housing. We also need to have charitable trusts to be able to invest in it. A company like me could put 500 crores into rental housing for affordable segments of 300 square feet, given for the affordable rental to do it through my charitable trust, for example. And Tatas could put in 30,000 crores in 10 years in affordable rental housing. So I think rental housing will be an answer where the private sector and the government sector will collaborate and be able to do it. But that policy has to come. And what Saab said correctly is that the land values, the construction costs, the taxes, and he was very kind to the government by saying only 20% is government share. In my case, it's 55% is government share. तो उनकी calculation में हम कल बैठ के bid करेंगे. मेरे जो latest buildings which I'm doing, 50% of my cost of sale of price is gone to the government, whether in stamp duty, in terms of development charges, in terms of labor cess, in terms of other costs. I have paid officially, ये black money की बात नहीं चल रही है, ये official पैसे है. हमने टैक्स और डेवलपमेंट चार्जेस सरकार को दिए, तो हम फ्लैट सस्ते कैसे बना सकते हैं? गवर्नमेंट को पैसे चाहिए. आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट टेकिंग मनी बिकॉज दे आर बिल्डिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, बट इफ यू वांट टू टेक केयर ऑफ द सेगमेंट, जैसे साहब ने कहा, they will have to consider if you want to rationalize the prices in this to do it. And the second alternative is to create rental housing stock through multiple means that.
Excellent at that point. Lata, over to you. Like one bold idea, do you think that can really transform the industry in the next 5 years?
I could digitalize the title records in the country, and I guess that can make a lot of difference. I think that's something that needs to be done urgently. I guess you can get title insurance, you can get a multiple amount of products, and financing, capital, all of it also becomes much more easier. And I think it's high time that we did that.
Okay.
Mr. Bansal,
very quick.
can I ask Lata ji a question? I won't ask Mr. Hiranandani. There's so much development happening in Bombay. Are the prices likely to come down in Mumbai?
You should ask that, Niranjan.
I will not ask him. That's why I qualified that. But we will ask you, sir.
See, to be very honest, if you look at the way the prices have moved in the country, I guess especially in the Mumbai city, for a very long period of time, it wasn't even inflation adjusted actually, you know, because when the prices were the way they were. And if 50% of the cost of building a product goes as taxes, right? And it's essentially what is getting passed on to the end customer is that, right? And at the end of the day, affordability, if somebody is unable to buy a house, the sales will not happen, right? You're not going to happen. So that will start getting affected. So I think so far it is something which has been managed. And I guess there will be a point wherein there will, you know, you're in a market economy. Your market will determine it. So whether the prices will go up or not, I guess is...
मैं पूछ रहा हूँ नीचे आएंगी कि नहीं?
मुझे
There's
ज़्यादा...
so much supply.
The government is collecting the money. So you think that you're paying me. You're not paying me. My partner is the government. So, Sarkar Bhav, in COVID time, sir, we reduced the stamp duty and the other costs by 50%.
Yeah.
The prices did come down. But now the taxes have come back and the redevelopment charges and other costs have gone up. So it is not going to come down.
I'm not
so answer is, what may be a problem is what has happened to affordable housing. So what went wrong with affordable housing that it became not prohibitive for a person to buy. That can happen. But to think that the prices will come down, it won't happen. But the demand in that segment, what Lataji is talking about, may happen. That because of the inflation, because of the costs and other things which are there, the demand in that segment can come down, but the prices can't come down because of what the government is charging.
Mr. Hiranandani, I would like your view on branded residences. Because, I mean, you've not taken the help of, I'm not saying it's wrong, but why should you need an unrelated product that is...
branded is Hiranandani brand.
Yes.
We have branded
Why
it
should you bring
Hiranandani
a
brand, which we are given.
Perfume maker, who 90% of the Indians or 99% don't know. Why should an Indian developer pay royalty?
No.
The same money you should
The
spend
same
it.
reason why you have Akshay Kumar and Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan to
But they're known.
brand products. The same,
but they're known.
all the
They're
women,
known.
the
They're
women
known.
buy it because
Okay.
Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar is there. I mean, what can you do?
No, I guess it is
Shah
more,
Rukh Khan,
it's
sorry.
more about being aspirational, right? I guess, and it is an extremely small segment. It is not a very wide, large segment when you compare the numbers. It's a very small segment, and it is appealing to an audience where that matters. You know, having a brand, because there's an association that if it's branded a particular kind, you will have a particular level of quality, particular kind of aesthetics, and that's what really gets there. I guess, why do people buy an LV bag or a Gucci bag, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, very, very minuscule segment, and also people for that aspirational lifestyle that they want to attach or associate with. So, you know, for them around it. But I think, you know, we had many more questions, but I think we'll bring this to a close. You know, thank you so much, you know, for your time, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. I think we had a very wide-ranging discussion. You know, had some very, very good
Thank you
thoughts
so much. I'll
coming in
request
there.
all
Thank
of you to please kindly wait. And also I'll request Dr. Anurag Batra to please kindly come up on stage and present the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers over here. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for this very, very special exclusive conversation, as well as Dr. Batra as they make their way. Thank you. Can we all continue the clapping and appreciation, ladies and gentlemen? I'm pretty sure that's going to be a nice lead to the awards.